Exploring Bodhicitta. Hello, today we're going to delve deeply into the concept of Bodhicitta. This discussion is based on a recorded conversation between a master and his disciple. What exactly is Bodhicitta? And why does the master say it possesses such powerful strength that it can help us deal with afflictions and karmic burdens? Our main goal this time is to extract the most practical meaning and power of Bodhicitta from the master's words. Simply put, Bodhicitta is a vast aspiration to help oneself and all sentient beings completely escape suffering and attain ultimate enlightenment. This aspiration directly relates to how to overcome suffering itself, the so-called bitter fruit and the root cause of suffering, afflictions or bitter causes. Bodhicitta, the arrow that pierces suffering. The first concept that really catches the eye is that Bodhicitta is like a swift arrow that can break all suffering. This might sound incredible. Isn't it generally said that already formed bitter fruits can only be endured? How can one actively break them? How does this work? The key here is that the master actually emphasized a prerequisite. You must first establish Bodhicitta, because if you don't establish it, how can it break anything? This means you need to have this arrow. Without an arrow, how can you shoot the enemy? How can you break through the enemy? This idea really challenges our passive acceptance of suffering. Bodhicitta, the spear that pierces affliction's armor. Furthermore, the master also said that Bodhicitta is like a sharp spear that can pierce the armor of afflictions. This is even more powerful. It points to something more fundamental, breaking the cause of suffering, for example, incorrect views, evil views. Afflictions are like a very strong armor. Without Bodhicitta, which can be called an absolute power, it's actually very difficult to penetrate. This metaphor is very vivid. Self-cultivation is essential, not your personal servant. This leads to the next important point. In the dialogue, the disciple seemed to be looking for an easy way out, asking if simply asking Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva for help and reciting a mantra would suffice. The master's direct response, which I found incredibly insightful, immediately awakened him. Is Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva your personal servant, there to wait on you? This statement truly hits home. It directly points out that self-cultivation is absolutely necessary. Whether you want to recite mantras or cultivate Bodhicitta, the effort ultimately has to come from yourself. Genuine awakening through verification. The master's core view is embodied in the word awakening. Generating Bodhicitta isn't just about saying it or reciting a term. It requires you to truly understand it, and more importantly, to verify it. Consider the powerful example of the fellow practitioner with prediabetes. He didn't just hear it from others. After his own hospital examination, he personally saw how terrifying the complications of the disease were, things like amputation and wounds that wouldn't heal. That really scared him. He developed an engraved fear, or rather, a sense of vigilance, which came from his personal verification. This spurred him to make up his mind to change, to adjust his diet or fast, and ultimately, his indicators truly returned to normal. This is an awakening that has been verified, perhaps initially, but very solid. Bodhicitta, the armor that protects our righteous mind. So, Bodhicitta isn't just a weapon to attack afflictions. The master then said it's also like strong armor that can protect our righteous mind, our rational thinking, or the principles we understand. Why is our understanding so fragile that it needs protection? It seems we often know a lot, but when things happen, we can't resist. The master's description is very apt. He said our understanding is often like tofu. When we hear something, we nod vigorously, but when temptation strikes, for example, food, drink, and entertainment, we immediately can't resist. We're completely vulnerable. Therefore, we need to transform the knowledge and insights we have into very firm awakening through practice. The master gave examples of several famous people, like Elon Musk, Jack Ma, and Wu Xiaowei. In their early days, They were humble and diligent, which led to their business success. However, after success, they became spoiled by praise and easily became conceited. Arrogance arose, and they lost their caution, leading to major setbacks. This demonstrates the immense destructive power of afflictions, especially arrogance and negative speech. The fundamental reason, as the Master often says, is believing in delusions, following feelings, and relying on impulses. Therefore, the Master reminds us that even if you feel extraordinary internally, you should still maintain humility externally. This reminder is very important. Bodhicitta, the sharp blade that beheads all afflictions. After discussing the offensive spear and the defensive armor, the last analogy is that Bodhicitta is like a sharp blade that can cut off the head of all afflictions. What exactly is this head of afflictions or thief leader? The Master directly pointed it out. The ultimate source of all afflictions, that thief leader, is ignorance. This means we have a fundamental misunderstanding of ourselves and the true nature of this world, especially often mistaking illusory and unreal things for eternal and real ones. To sever this ignorance, the sharpest blade is needed. That blade is luminosity, or the light of wisdom. The light of wisdom. The Master says that true luminosity is the realization that all phenomena are merely one's own mind. This sounds a bit profound. Let's use an example to illustrate. It's like watching TV. You know that the things on the screen are just images and are not real. You wouldn't actually try to eat an apple displayed on the screen. Similarly, if you can comprehend that all external phenomena, whether good or bad, favorable or adverse, are actually just illusions manifested by our own minds according to past karma, and they have no inherent substance, just like the TV screen itself, then you naturally won't cling to those images, and afflictions will have no place to arise. We are constantly creating karma and constantly experiencing the karmic results transformed by our own minds. What does this mean for you? Listening to all this, the Master's words truly go deeper and deeper. Therefore, Bodhicitta is absolutely not an empty philosophical concept. It is an inner strength that needs to be cultivated through our own efforts, continuous verification, and profound realization. It is both a weapon to eliminate suffering, armor to protect our mind, and ultimately, the blade of wisdom that cuts off the head of ignorance and reaches ultimate reality. So, understanding all of this, what does it mean for you and for our listeners? Finally, a point for everyone to ponder. The Master repeatedly emphasizes that it is crucial to recognize the harm of afflictions. Do you truly understand that afflictions and inappropriate behaviors are actually self-harm, self-infliction, and self-destruction? This recognition is the key to your willingness to stop them. Look at the ups and downs of those prominent figures. It also proves that worldly success does not exempt you from the influence of afflictions, so we can reflect. For the various cause and effect relationships in our lives, how much do we merely know in our heads, and how much is like the fellow practitioner, who developed that profound fear or profound awakening through personal verification? Is our usual change driven more by fear, or are we truly cultivating a stable, independent awareness and that sense of caution to move forward? This might be worth everyone's consideration.